Justice and Empowerment Initiatives, has been working with the people of Otodo-Gbame for nearly 3 years now. And Otodo-Gbame is one of the very strong communities within the Nigerian Slum and Informal Settlement Federation. Actually, here in Lagos, we work with over 70 different informal settlements, communities, many of which are waterfronts, but not all. And what we do is we provide legal education, legal empowerment, and legal aid. And then together with the Federation, we support different programs to try to bring development to the community. Unfortunately, Otodo-Gbame has faced a series of forced evictions, very violent forced evictions since November of last year. But even before those evictions came up, there was a threat to evict all the waterfronts in Lagos by the Lagos state government that started in October of last year. We, working with the Federation, were able to identify about 40 of our member communities that were waterfronts that fell under that threat of eviction, and we helped them first to try to approach the government when there was no positive response, to try to address maybe there's an alternative to evictions, a way we can avoid this kind of mass displacement, because the numbers would have been over 300,000 people. We helped them to go to court, and we filed a case pursuant to the Fundamental Rights Enforcement Procedure Rules, 2009. That case was brought on behalf of 15 different waterfront communities, including Otodo-Gbame, in October of 2016. We were able to get an injunction from the court in November, on November 7th, and unfortunately 2 days after that, despite the injunction, the government went ahead and started demolishing Otodo-Gbame, and between November of last year and April of this year, over 30,000 people have been rendered homeless and forcibly evicted in that community, despite the pending suit and despite the injunction that ordered the parties to maintain the status quo and to avoid those evictions.
Yeah, but recently there was a victory court ruling.
Correct.
For the Otodo. What does this mean for the residents?
So on the 21st of June, just 2 days ago, we were given the final judgment in that case that we brought on behalf of the waterfronts, and it was a landmark victory for the people of Otodo-Gbame, for the other waterfront residents in Lagos, 270,000 of them, and actually for communities and for people across the entire country. Because the judge found, as a matter of law, that to evict people from their homes without adequate notice and without resettlement constitutes cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment and is unconstitutional. And that pronouncement addresses all the evictions that we've been seeing that have been taking place without any consideration for where people go after the demolition. Where are they going to stay? And the requirement that government must resettle people before any eviction actually will end up preventing many evictions and making sure that evictions or demolitions, when they need to occur, have a human face. So that's a very important precedent. The second important ruling or decision that came out of that judgment was that the state government is ordered to enter into consultations with the waterfront residents, including the people displaced from Otodo-Gbame, about resettlement, and to come up with an actionable resettlement plan to make sure that they don't remain homeless. And that order takes effect immediately. And finally, the government was restrained from carrying out any further evictions of the waterfronts.
Okay, and since this pronouncement, has there been any move, so to say, to comply with this order by the government, the Lagos state government?
Well, the judgment came out just 2 days ago, so we haven't really, I don't think anyone has had an opportunity to fully absorb and decide on the next steps. Of course, the first thing that any lawyer does is apply for a written copy of the judgment, so you review, you make sure you understand exactly what's required, and then you start practicalizing it. I know that for ourselves and on behalf of the waterfront communities, we'll reach out to the government right away to let them know that we're ready to dialogue and find solutions as soon as possible, and we hope that they will reciprocate. Of course, they have the right to appeal, but if they appeal, it will only prolong the issue, and it would actually just give more time, because the order staying any eviction of the waterfronts would be in place in the interim.
Okay, so let's talk to Mr. Samuel. And so, since these residents have been displaced, have they been surviving? Where are they now, and where did they relocate to?
Yes, since they've been evicted since April 9, the Nigerian Slum and Informal Settlement Federation have traced down the Otodo-Gbame evictees to 16 different waterfront communities. And where are they now is not comfortable for them because most of them are still sleeping in their canoes. Most of them still sleep outside and because they don't have a place to go, and the art community is where they've known to be their home. So the situation they are facing now is very, very dehumanizing.
So for how long have they been in, I mean, before the displacement process is started, how long have they been in Otodo-Gbame?
Yes, one of the things that the Nigerian Federation do is that we try to profile the community, and from the profiling that we went for in that community, we are meant to understand that the community have been in existence since more than 100 years. There is every hope based on the outcome of the consultation meeting that we'll be having with the government. So I'm very, very much optimistic that they might go back to their plan.
Okay, so Megan, since your engagement, I mean, your organization and the community now, what would you really think that is the reason for the displacement? From some angle, it is that it's some kind of ethnic rivalry, and then the Lagos state government wants peace and order in the community, and that's why they need them to. But from your own unbiased and very neutral point of view, now, what would you say is the reason the government actually wants these people out of the place?
I think there's no question but that the reason the government has been pushing to remove people from Otodo-Gbame is an effort to take over that land, to clear it so that it can be used for another purpose. And that purpose, as far as we understand, is a commercial real estate development called the International Imperial Business City, which is being pushed by the Alagoshi royal family and a private developer. And we understand that that project has already been approved by the government. So basically, what this is a state-backed land grab. The justifications that the state government has given have been many, they've been diverse, and they have been wholly inconsistent since the beginning.
The last time I was there was just these fierce-looking guys wearing cutlasses and stuff, and they're still in the community. Are these people part of Otodo-Gbame too?
No, when you recently, after the demolitions began, if you went into the entrance of Otodo-Gbame, you'd see a group of thugs hanging around the entrance, some of them holding weapons, being very intimidating, calling out, trying to intimidate anyone coming in and out of the community. They're not part of Otodo-Gbame. These are thugs who are hired to assist with the land grab process, to make life unlivable for people who are there. And you see them enlisted when the demolition is actually going on, putting on task force uniforms and actually assisting the police in what they're doing. But they've been there since November of last year, on and off, trying to intimidate people, make life unlivable, and it's part of the orchestrated land grab. They're not part of the community, they're not from the community.
So I'm sure that JI must have spent a lot. How do you finance, you take up the legal cases too, so how do you finance this?
So JEI is a non-profit, non-governmental organization. We don't accept money from government. We work with grants and aid and individual donations that assist us to do our work and to provide free legal services to the communities that we assist, and so on. Actually, very, very encouraging was that after the 9th of April demolition, when people saw, ordinary Lagosians, saw the videos and the pictures of what people were going through, thousands of people chased from their homes, women, children, the elderly in boats on top of the lagoon, it touched people, and we have seen an outpouring of generosity from ordinary Lagosians, those who could only give 500 naira, those who could give more, people contributing, bringing relief materials to our office so that they could be distributed to the evictees all over the city where they've scattered to. And that has been incredibly encouraging for us to see that outpouring of support that people want to see what they can do to help the people. And it's now for government to join the rest of Lagos in trying to actually alleviate the suffering of these people.
Oh, wow, that's quite a good one. And so, Mr. Samuel, during the series of demolitions and evictions, some people died, I think 2 people died, and some were injured. Has there been, for those who died, has there been some kind of relief or compensation for their families?
You mean from the government?
Yes, from the government.
No. There is no any compensation from or relief from the government. But what happened just of recent is that early this month, the Federation went to bury those people that were dead, Daniel Aya and Elijah Fonda, in their hometown in Badagry.
Oh, so most of these people from Otodo-Gbame, where are they really from? Badagry, Togo, Benin Republic, where are they really from?
They are from Badagry. Because if they are not from that place, they won't even allow us to bury them there.
Yes, okay, I know that. I accept that the 2 people who died from Badagry, but there is also these insinuations that some of those in the settlement are not even Lagosians. Is that true?
Actually, that is a false story. I don't believe that, because part of the documentation that we gathered from the community is that they are from Badagry and they settled there. And the reason why they settled in that place is because of their economic activities, because most of the people that are staying there, they are predominantly fishermen.
This waterfront community, they are not really conducive structure-wise, health-wise. So what is your movement towards ensuring that these places are actually habitable for people? You know, because if the places are habitable, I don't think the government would readily want to demolish it. But if it's just structures of plywoods and corrugate sheets and here and there, I mean, governments might just discard and just. But if they are really good structures that maybe they will be a little bit reluctant to want to demolish this place. So what is your movement or your organization doing to ensure that these places are rehabilitated a little bit?
Fine, that is a very good question. One, the federation, we learn models from other affiliate countries, which Nigeria, learn from Uganda, Kenya, Brazil, and India. These are countries where they have huge slums, and we've seen the way they've partnered with their government for slum institute upgrading. And this is the model that is, we are telling the Lagos government that, fine, this is what we can replicate in Nigeria. Let's come together, let's discuss institute upgrading. And it's not as if we are saying government should bear the whole burden, but let's meet halfway. Because one, the communities under federation is organized through their savings. We have a savings that is meant for individual empowerment, because people tend to save for their future. And there is also what the savings that is called the UPF. The UPF savings is meant, it's channeled into the community development. And after having profiled a community, we understand issues and the priorities of those communities. And that their UPF can equally be channeled towards those development. All what we are asking from the government is, come, let's meet halfway and develop a strategy to develop or upgrade this community. We've seen that eviction is not the answer, because the moment you evict a slum, naturally many slums will spring up, because people need where to sleep, where they will put their head and sleep. So is either people go to an existing slum or they form another one. So we've seen that evicting people from their homes, their community, won't bring the kind of development that the government even want, but rather it will be creating more slums, more informal. But let's look at a way that we can upgrade this community, and that is why we are telling the government, proposing an institute upgrading.
So when it comes to dialoguing with the government, the first thing we're going to say is that aside the people from Otodo-Gbame who've already been evicted, when we look at other communities that are still on ground, resettlement, first of all, is expensive. It can be done, but it is never the cheapest and most affordable and simplest option. The best thing is this strategy of in situ upgrading that can happen. We've seen resettlement options or resettlement attempts that have happened here in Lagos. For example, I think the Lagos state government has been trying to resettle the sawmillers from Okobaba for almost a decade now. 7, 8, 9 years they've been on that project, trying to relocate them to a place past Ikorodu. And up till now, it actually hasn't moved forward because there's cost involved, because there's a lot of logistics that have to be worked out. So the in situ upgrading, what it does is it actually builds on the strengths of communities. It uses community savings, access to soft loans through the SDI network that Samuel has been talking about, and you plan for the community, you come up with a template for housing that's acceptable, that's affordable, that people can build through their own efforts, and you partner with the government to make it happen, make sure that the government also brings in the necessary infrastructure, and so on. And we've seen examples where that has also worked from other countries, and there's no reason that it can't happen here. And in the end, it's much more cost effective than a wholesale resettlement. So what we're going to be proposing to the government is, where there hasn't been displacement already, let's not even look at wholesale displacement, wholesale resettlement, because it's unaffordable. Even the government can't bear the cost of what's required under the Constitution. So instead, let's find realistic ways of upgrading the communities, taking a gradual approach. We say dia, take a gradual approach. We don't expect to accomplish a miracle overnight, but with planning, with communication, with full participation from the communities, we can actually do this in a gradual way that brings up the quality of life for the urban poor and addresses broader urban challenges.
To me, I see the judgment as a way by which the government can redeem its image, because the first injunction that we got was that government should not go and demolish, and they went ahead and demolished. And this is another open door for the government to respect the rule of law and to strengthen democracy in Nigeria.